You were like me and you like to shoot, but you're looking for something a little bit easier on the wallet, then something like this might be exactly what you're looking for.
This is the Kel Tec P-17. It's a 16+1 hammer-fired direct blowback 22 LR pistol that was introduced by Kel Tec just a couple years ago. So this is advertised by Kel Tec as both a training tool and a concealed carry piece that is meant to be affordable both to buy and to shoot. And considering it's chambered in .22 long rifle and MSRPs are about $239 on Kel Tec's website, I'd say they hit the mark on both of those. So for size, it's not exactly a palm pistol. It's sort of in between what you'd have for like a micro concealed carry gun, like let's say a P-32 that Kel Tec also makes, or like a Springfield Hellcat P-365. It's a little bit bigger than those, but it is certainly smaller than say a Glock 17 or 19. So as the name implies, P-17 can handle 17 rounds of .22 LR, 16 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. As far as features, for a $220 gun, this actually comes with a decent amount of good stuff on it. So the front sight, fiber optic, fixed, just held on with these 2 Allen screws. Rear sight is plastic, adjustable for windage and elevation with this set screw here for elevation, this one on the right side for windage. The slide itself is compatible with, I believe, a Shield RMSC. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that. The slide stop, slide release is only on the left side. It's also one of the only metal parts on this. So lock the slide back, push up on the slide stop, holds the slide open. I've had no issues with this as far as using the gun itself. It's a little small for my taste, but it's well within reach for my medium-sized man hands. The only issue I have with the slide stop is if you have the slide locked open, let this thing cool down after burning $20 worth of crappy .22 ammo through it, and you set it down on the table on the left side, oop, almost didn't do it. About half the time, it's gonna knock that open and drop the slide on you. It's not really a big deal, it's just kind of annoying. Safety, ambidextrous, down is fire, up is safe. You can only actuate the safety if the weapon is cocked. So if you go to the back of the frame, right between the slide and frame, you can see the back of the hammer, a little bit of red poking out, that is your cocking indicator. So that tells me that this thing is cocked and ready to go. Now that I've released the hammer, pulled the trigger, dead trigger, can't move the safety. If you wanted to carry this with the chamber empty and it on safe, all you'd have to do is pull the slide back about 2 millimeters. You hear a little click, and then you can put it on safe with the chamber empty and the hammer down. In order to take the P-17 apart, field strip it, there is a ambidextrous takedown lever on the front. Put the weapon on fire, depress that takedown lever, pull it back. It'll go a little bit past where it normally does to get off the rails. And then all you do is pull the slide off the front of the frame. Kind of similar to CZ52, Walter PPK, Makarov kind of disassembly. Then you get to the slide, if you can call it that. It is a 90-degree piece of sheet metal with all of the working bits, meaning like the firing pin, breech face, extractor, all just held in with these 2 screws for the optics mount. I've not taken this apart because I don't really need to. You can see this is filthy. I don't clean this very often and it still runs just fine. You get a nice big cavity in the back of there for the hammer, and you can see the little cut on the back to look at your cocking indicator. Put the slide back on, pretty easy. All you gotta do, line it back up, pull the takedown lever down again, and you're ready to go. So taking a look at some of the internals, we're just gonna hit that takedown lever, pull the slide back, pull the slide off. The barrel itself is fixed in place. It is threadable to 1/2x28. This is just the standard thread protector that comes with it. The box comes with a little wrench that you can use to take the muzzle cap off, and there is a 1/2x28 adapter that screws onto the front of this. Recoil spring is held captive by that little cap there, which is super useful until you want to take this apart and clean the spring. I haven't really had the need to do that. What I'll typically do is just use a toothbrush and scrub all that carbon crap off the breech face, hit it with some lube, and it's good to go for another 500 rounds or so. You can see that internal hammer. Highly advise putting this thing on safe as soon as you take the slide off, because if you drop the hammer with the slide off, it is kind of a pain in the ass to get that thing cocked again. And you need to have the hammer cocked in order to put the slide back on. So the barrel itself is just fixed in place between the two sides of the frame. I believe it is this Allen key right here, or Allen screw, sorry. That holds that little, I guess you could call it a trunnion, maybe, into the frame. You can see you have your little ejector there that's built into the side. All the internal parts, the ones that matter, are metal. Just some of the random crap and most of the externals on this thing are plastic, which is fine because it's probably not going to break, but it does make it extremely lightweight and kind of makes it feel a little bit cheap. On that subject, one of the biggest things you're going to notice as soon as you pick this up is the weight. Even fully loaded, this thing is incredibly lightweight, which kind of makes it difficult to shoot. So as I said, Kel Tec likes to advertise this as a bit of a training piece, which I agree with. This is a very good weapon for pointing out all of the flaws in your handgun firing technique. It weighs next to nothing, and any extra input that you put on the trigger or any flaws in your grip will send your rounds probably 6 to 8 inches in any direction, depending on how you screwed it up. So if one of my buddies comes over, we want to shoot, he brings out his, Gucci 1911 or his murdered out Glock, starts stacking rounds on top of each other. It gets too big for his britches. I'll hand him this and have him try and hit a 5-inch plate about 10 yards away, and he will struggle to do so. So this is a really good tool for helping teach technique to newer novice shooters, and especially good for learning trigger control. That brings us to kind of just an overview of the trigger. So it is single action only. So in order to actually fire the gun, the hammer needs to be cocked. Thankfully, Kel Tec decided not to make this double action only. So the trigger is not terrible. The trigger shoe is plastic. It's got a pretty clean, consistent pull and a pretty clean break. It just has a ton of over travel and it is not adjustable whatsoever. My only big gripe with the trigger is the fact that the reset, I can barely hear that. You can't really feel it. The reset is kind of atrocious. But if you need to run and gun this thing at, John Wick speeds, you probably need a better gun anyway. Ergonomically, this thing feels pretty good in the hand. It's really, really easy to point. Grip angle is nice considering the size. And I've had no issues nailing targets between 10 and 25 yards. Just bringing it up to my eye line, getting the sights on target and pulling the trigger. I don't know why Kel Tec chose to include the little serrated ridge on the front of the trigger guard. Very 90s IDPA, whatever. I guess if you're 65 and wanted a 22 pistol, you can shoot it like you did in the 80s. So I have probably close to 3,000 rounds through this gun so far. I carried it not quite every day, but especially during the summer, it's just something really easy to throw in my back pocket if I'm walking around the farm. We do have a lot of snakes, and I've taken out more than a few of them with just CCI rat shot out of this thing. As far as reliability, the only issues I have had with reliability out of the P-17 is failures to extract after I let this thing get unbelievably filthy. So after like 1,000 rounds of the crappiest Aguila 22 ammo you can think of that leaves behind, I don't know, like a pound of carbon, it'll start to have some issues. But if you're running clean ammo through it, honestly, I don't think you're going to have any issues whatsoever. And even with the extent that I beat up and abuse this thing, the fact that I've only had maybe 3 malfunctions out of 3,000 rounds is kind of incredible, especially for a 22. As far as overall opinions on, I don't know if you can even say fit and finish because this thing is almost 100% plastic. It feels pretty solid for what it is, if that makes sense. It looks like sort of a Minecraft Roblox pistol. I mean, that's kind of Kel Tec's MO. But as far as, I guess, shootability, considering that's not a word, it's fun to shoot. It's not easy to shoot because it weighs nothing, and if you screw up, you're going to throw your rounds every which direction. But like I said, it's a pretty good training tool for new shooters. As far as use cases, I carried this around specifically to deal with snakes and the potential for aggressive stray dogs, which I have in my area. And I don't really do that anymore. With this short barrel, trying to run 22 rat shot, which A, doesn't cycle this, it was just way more efficient and safer for me to just grab a shovel than to grab Ear Pro, grab this, and then go try and get within 3 inches of a snake to make sure I got close enough to actually pop it in the right spot. So this has kind of just turned into a fun range toy for me, and occasionally something I can throw in my back pocket if I'm running to the gas station to grab, I don't know, a gallon of milk and a can of Zins or something. All right, so you've heard my complaints, my praise, my gripes, my concerns. I'm going to take this thing over the range, put a few rounds through it, see how it shoots. So would I recommend a $225, mostly plastic 22 handgun? I would say it depends, and it depends mostly on your intended use case. As a range toy and as a training tool, absolutely yes. This is very good for teaching inexperienced or novice shooters because it's not scary. It's not very loud. It hardly recoils at all, like you saw, and it's cheap to run. So if you need to teach a new shooter how to handle a handgun safely, and one that they're not going to break, or God forbid they manage to break it, it's not too expensive to either fix or replace, I'd say this is a pretty good choice to have. Is it as accurate or as useful as, say, like a Ruger Mark IV or a Smith & Wesson Victory? No. But this is not something that you're going to go John Wick with and defend your house from multiple ninjas, Mothman, or a Skinwalker. As a concealed carry piece, I'd say you have better options. I would look more towards 380 or 9mm if you want something in the same sort of package. 22 LR is pretty anemic as a defensive round. This is much more useful for just putting in your back pocket if you're working around the farm, going hiking, something like that, and you need to dispatch, I don't know, snakes, squirrels, and rabbits. That being said, I love this gun. I shoot it all the time. I've put thousands of rounds through it, and it has hardly ever failed me. So if you have $250 to blow on a new gun, just something fun to take outside and shoot, or to teach new shooters, I'd say absolutely go for it. It's going to be worth your money. If you stuck around this far, thank you. I'm going to be doing more of these reviews in the future. Please leave a like, comment what you'd like me to see review next. If I have it, I'll do it. If not, maybe I'll try and go find it. And please subscribe. I'm trying to get this channel grown. Thank you.